So we'll get right into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you both for joining us today. We know time is precious and we appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk to us a little bit.
Well, really quick, first of all, our time is no more important than yours. So
oh,
time is just as equal to all of us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Of
So
course.
thank
No,
you
I
for having us.
appreciate that. Definitely. I don't play about time. Time is like a thing for me. So
Yeah, that's great. I love that. You said time a few times. I was like, oh, well, let me just let you know how important your time is.
thank you. I appreciate it. So, like I said, we'll get right into it. You all have had an eventful few months, but not only that, I mean, you guys have had an incredible career so far. I mean, decades in the game. Janet Jackson, Mary J. Blige, Anthony Hamilton, and of course, Usher. And we'll get into that very, very soon. But just for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about the beginning of your musical journey. It started very, very close to home.
Yeah, I think our father um was involved with music at a young age, and his aspirations to um be in music led to him um you know developing bands at that time. The top 40 circuit was pretty much equivalent to what it is today for DJs with your Tiestos and Steve Aoki's and those kind of you know music providers at that time. And we were just fortunate enough to live in a home that was, pretty much a musical home. My dad would have his bands rehearsing, and we'd be able to experience what that was like, and really kind of develop an appetite for music through our father. Um, and I think just music took its course. I started playing piano at 3 years old. My brother started playing, picked up the bass first, and then that led to him playing drums. And that was kind of our road to discover music. And it was obviously in us already. I think just being around it helped develop what our passion for it, and what we wanted to do, and ultimately what we would become. Um, and in that discovery, it led to me, learning how to write, and learning technology, and ended up developing a demo, probably at like 10 years old, in a studio working with my father and his partner, James Felix. And, from that point on, that led to me signing with RCA Records at 12 years old. And, that's where the journey for me began.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, if you could take anything from, what you learned from your dad, maybe the most valuable piece of information that helped you guys have such successful careers, what would you have taken from him?
They could probably be just his never ending appetite to keep going in in the face of uh doubters, naysayers, just perseverance, um, and just a commitment of this is understanding that this is what you want to do, this is what it's going to take, and there's no quitting.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. And I think too, um, what we see a lot today. I mean, we can go on Instagram, we can go on Facebook and social media, and there's so many talented people. And I'm at this point really truly convinced, as sad as it may sound or may be, talent does not mean much of anything in music. And I say that very respectfully, because it's really about the timing, and it's really about the work that you put in, that really stands out. And I think for my father, um, he wasn't as talented, but what he did was, as a musician, he wasn't an elite musician, but his real true talent was the work and the effort that he put into assembling a great band of great musicians, and that led to him having the great gigs, and the musicians that he had always would play for him or join his band because he had the gigs that were paying the most. And ending up with Jimmy and Terry, I think that's one thing that really connected, with all of us, was just the work ethic. And hearing the stories and knowing how hard Prince would work, it was very similar to how my dad worked. And I think because he wasn't the things that he wanted to be as a musician, he put that drive into us, and we ultimately became, that vehicle for him to push and to be able to play and do things in music as musicians. And your stage presence as an artist on stage. I think all of those kind of qualities came from his crazy work ethic.
Right.
Yeah, and I think too, he had you know, a serious dedication to his vision. He saw something that no one else really saw, no one really believed in. Everybody probably told him he was crazy, and he saw something for his boys. And you know, it was a very old school approach, similar to what you see with the Williams sisters, Tiger Woods' dad. It's that classic story and pedigree of you know hard, very uh very no, unwavering, and that's what he poured into us. And there's something to be said about that old school style of parents who are nurturing the talent within their kids and how hard they push them.
Yeah.
There is no off days. There is no time to hang out and play, and it's none of that. It's this is where we're headed. This is how we're going to get there, and this is what you're going to do.
Love.
Um,
Yeah,
there's something to be said about that pedigree.
for sure.
As
Yeah.
hard as it is, that's the thing too. I think me and my brother are both parents. We love our kids. Our kids are our everything, and even to this day, I don't know if I could push my kids as hard as our father pushed us. It's just a different thing.
Yeah.
But there's
Different
something to be said
generations.
about it.
Yeah, for sure. I love
Yeah,
that. And I mean, obviously, like I noticed that those parents, they've really raised greatness, and you're
yeah,
at an excellent job with you too. And so fast forwarding, speaking of stage presence and production and things of that nature, you both were a part of Usher's Las Vegas residency.
yeah.
So tell us about that journey and how you got to that point, and just the experience of being in Vegas for the time that he was there. And he really changed the game of the Vegas residencies. So what was your contribution, and how did you all enjoy that experience?
I mean, it was definitely an incredible experience. I mean, one, we were coming out of the pandemic. Two, it was a must that we executed. Was his first time in Vegas, and if you know anything about having a successful residency on the Vegas Strip, is you don't get a chance to mess up. Like, your opening nights and your attendance and all that is factored in. And I remember just our biggest thing was like, okay, what kind of experience do we want to craft and create, and really look at it from a fan perspective.
Yeah.
What do you want to see? What songs do you want to hear? How do you want to hear them? All the way down to the choreography, to the style of show. Do we sprinkle in a little bit of Sammy Davis and in all the history throughout that has existed throughout Vegas, especially from a black perspective.
Right.
Usher was very key on those elements, just being a part of the experience. We put together an immersive experience as well at Caesar's Palace, which was a show before the show.
I was able
And
to attend that. I actually did that.
oh, dope, yeah. So you
Yeah,
got to experience the whole, walk
I
through the
did.
life of Usher, right? And
Yeah.
and Usher he was very passionate about bringing Atlanta to Vegas, Atlanta culture, Atlanta music, Atlanta, the strip club aspect of Atlanta. And, to be able to touch all those various things and to be successful was a tremendous blessing for me, my brother, and our crew, Lil Jon and Chronic. And, it was a heavy lift, coming out of the pandemic, not really knowing, what the climate was going to be in the venue. People wearing masks. Are people going to be comfortable? What's it going to be like? I mean, I remember the challenges, like leading all the way up to the show, which was, we had our entire cast, people were getting sick. We had to fly dancers in. We didn't know if we were going to have enough dancers for even our first show, and so to come out of all of that and have one of the most successful residencies in Vegas, which then led to Park MGM. I mean, it just, it was a tremendous blessing, a tremendous achievement. To tackle Vegas, that's like climbing Mount Everest at times. And you look at what, his success here in Vegas has been able to, what it's been able to do for his career, and almost give him an entire second wind
A
of
renaissance for sure.
yeah, exactly, of where he wants to be and wanted to be in his vision for where he saw himself at in the next couple of years. I mean, we can all point to Vegas,
Right.
because that is the tail of the tape. So it was, it's been a phenomenal ride for me and my brother. It's been an incredible experience. Um, and I think too, even for us as musicians and songwriters, to really see, you know, the songs that we've been a part of and to play those songs every night, to be able to share the stage with my brother, to see how those records have impacted, you know, a crazy amount, a variety amount of people, right? People flying in from all parts of the world, singing our records, that's, you almost just look to the sky and say, God, your plan was definitely better than ours, you
Always.
know. So it's been incredible. Vegas has done a lot for all of us.
Right. And the residency wasn't the end of the road for Vegas. I mean, we took
Yeah,
it to the biggest stage that we can take it to for the Super
yeah,
Bowl this past February. I mean, are incredible. Absolutely
yeah.
incredible. So when you found out that Usher was going to be headlining this year's Super Bowl, what went through your minds?
Well, I just remember getting a call from my brother in the morning, and I'll let him touch on that. But what's crazy is when we started Caesar's Palace, um, even at that time, 2.5 years ago, you know, it was definitely in the air where, you know, we had said that, man, if we do this right and we knock it out of the park, who knows, you might be doing you might be doing Super Bowl in a couple of years
Right.
or a year from now. And so putting that in the universe, and then to have it come to fruition, it was crazy. But I'll let Bob tell, you know, because I was knocked out when the news hit the fan, and Bob actually called me and was like, "Did you hear?" So I'll let Bob touch on that.
Yeah, I think, me and Lil John had been kind of smelling this odor of he might be doing the Super Bowl for quite some time after the record Glue was released, and just kind of seeing the impact that record had. Um, we kind of we kind of kept our finger on the pulse. And just, we knew that Super Bowl was coming to Vegas for the first time, and so in August, we kind of just we said, look, man, he might be doing it, and we kind of put it out there. And then once that Sunday came, I got a text from Lil Johnny, said, "Did you hear?" And this was like maybe like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't even have to ask him. I just me and him have this thing where we kind of know what each other's thinking, and so I went instantly online, and all I typed in was, I said, I think I typed in Usher Super Bowl, and then boom, it was announced.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had texted my brother. I said, "Did you hear the news? He's doing it."
Yeah,
Um,
and what was crazy is, you know, I would probably like maybe 3 weeks at the most, Usher had called me, and man, we chopped it up for about an hour, just catching up. And a couple weeks went by, and this is at the time me and my brother, you know, we had just secured our studio facility in Nashville, so we had been going back and forth to Nashville like crazy. And you know, I got a text from Ush, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to tell you something." And you know, just schedule was crazy. I didn't have a chance to follow back up with him. And I got another text like, "Hey man, are you free? Like, I want to chop it up with you." And I kept missing him. And you know, I know he was sworn to secrecy, you know, about the Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
I really believe, you know, he wanted to tell me like, "Yo man, I'm doing the Super Bowl." And then, you know, then like a couple weeks later, you know, it happens. And I remember asking him on a phone call, I was like, "Yo man, like what's up with Super Bowl, man? Are you gonna do it?" And he's like, "You know, man, I've petitioned as much as I can, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, it's you know, it's they know I want to do it, and you know, it's up to them, you know, if they reach out to me, you know." But he said at this point I can't, you know,
It's above me now.
I can't try any harder than I've already been trying. So, and we left it at that. And so when it all came full circle, I mean, it was crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's so many milestones, the most viewed Super Bowl in history, over
Crazy.
202 million views. That's incredible. And you two are the first Mexican American to produce the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, what an honor is it for you to represent your community in that way and inspire other people who are in similar positions as you to get to that position, to get to that point and see how successful it became.
I would say it is the most important thing as two Mexican Latinos to be able to be a part of something this magnificent, this something this big, something this worldwide. Um, you know, it's allowed us to really, you know, put a bow on it as to no box has ever been big enough for me and my brother. And you know, I think just within our own culture as well, for kids that look like us, um, you know, the reality is, you know, Black music has been a huge part of our love, our passion, and our experience. You know, that's what my father played in the house. You know, it became a part of us, and you know, it allows us to really say that, you know, it doesn't matter what you are, who you are, color, whatever. You know, your dreams are your dreams, and you know and that's why I always say no box has been big enough for us, because naturally everyone has always wanted to put us in a box. And, you know, our track record is a testament to who we are, what we love, what we're committed to. And like I said, to be able to speak with kids that look like us, give them a sense of hope that, you know, can really allow them to really feel and touch the fact that, okay, despite how crazy this may be, despite how far-fetched this may be, when it comes to my dream, it's achievable, it's obtainable, and we become the template. And I think for us, that is the biggest thing that we can ever be a part of and talk about, being Mexicans. And most importantly, man, Mexicans and Blacks working together at the highest level, you
Yeah,
know, allowing our kids and our children to see this, and, you know, be able to work together, dream together, play together, collaborate together. You know, there isn't anything we can't do when we put our heads together.
that's right. I love that. Bobby, did you
Yeah.
want to add anything to it?
You know, I just, number one, you know, just kind of you know, diving into the filter of um where we've been, where we've gone, where we're going. Um One thing I just want to say is there's a lot to be said and a lot of credit to Usher um for trusting the relationship that he has with Iz, and and our ability collectively to help him on this journey. I mean, we look at our careers 30 plus. Um, my career started as a solo artist, and, pivoting and learning the business and allowing me to create a way for myself when the industry actually pushes you out, or the timing doesn't allow for you to be in the space. You know, there's a lot to be said um, about who he is as an artist and as a creative, that really helped what we've done in our journey and allow those roads to merge. And like Iz said, just the power of black and brown doing something at this level, this big. I think the thing for us now, and especially what resonates with me is, you know, there's, making records. Hey, I've proven that time and time, decade after decade, that what that ability is all about. And at this point in time now, it's really no longer about me and my aspirations. It's about what I'm supposed to be doing for others. And I think, having this opportunity to be able to be the first Latinos and doing it at this level, there's no record big enough than this. Uh there's no soundtrack that I could produce that is bigger than this. And I think this really levels the playing field. And I think the message now for us, and I think what we're looking to do is to inspire that kid, that adult. I love what Big Mike said. He said, "Look, you're not too old. You're not." They said I was done. And he sweeps the Grammys, and the Grammys don't define the art. I think the art always defines any award, but the fact that you can actually tear down any walls, get through any obstacles, um, it's tough. There's it with art. It's so tough to achieve a goal at a high level because you know forms of art don't allow itself to generate a revenue the way a regular job. So a regular job does, and it's really difficult. So I think where we're at right now in this stage, whether you're black, whether you're Mexican, whether you're Asian, you're white, you've really got to follow what you love, right? You've really got to stand behind that. That's sometimes the only thing that you have in this life is what you love and what you hold dear to. And for us, it's been music. And I think through our journey, I don't know. I used to have an answer for advice for somebody who wants to do what we do. And I don't have that anymore because not everybody's journey is the same. And, you know, again, I might tell you to go left and you should be going right. And I can only tell you that where me and my brother have gone, it's been a struggle. It's There's been so much pain. There's been so much rehearsal. There's been so much practice. There's been so much dedication. There's all these different attributes that go into what we've become. And, the Super Bowl really defines a lot of who we've become and who we're supposed to be at this point for others. And I'm just very proud to be able to have the opportunity in my life, number one, to see my favorite team go and win the Super Bowl the way they did.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
talk about that, Bob. Right, our
you
favorite
know,
team, the Chiefs.
and it was crazy because me and Lil John were at a pool party that Gronkowski was putting on last year, and it was in Phoenix around the Super Bowl, and for a year to go by, and us being able to produce, create, all be together, be on the stage, perform, and then our team's there. You know that just doesn't happen, right? That's
Well, your team is
serendipity at
there
its
off a
highest.
lot more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They were just, you know what? They were just revving up to see us be there with them. That's all that was.
Exactly. That's all it was.
You know. but you know that like all of those moments, you know, like Iz was saying, to be on the stage when we used to, you know, play this little intermission with my dad at these bars that he used to play at in these clubs. Now we're on a stage that the world is seeing. Um, to have my kids there, to have my nephew there, to have most importantly my mom and dad, to be able to see us there and to witness that in real time. I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, a lot of us get to that place of success and the ones that you want there that should be there aren't there. And I'm thankful that God has allowed them to stay here. You know, I think I ask that every day, not just from my parents, but the people who poured into us.
Yeah.
God, keep them alive. I know you have your plan, but keep them alive so that whatever we're doing, they
Mhm.
poured so much into us. Allow them to see that. You know, I think, you know, money goes so far, and I think the memories and the experiences that life presents itself to us, um, in terms of the joyous moments and the happiness of life, being able to witness that being alive is worth more than that.
Absolutely.
And I understand that more than ever, especially after doing the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
you know,
So
you can't, there's nothing that compares to it. So we're
yeah,
super blessed.
yeah. And
absolutely.
I think
Go ahead.
I think too. You know, we talk about, you know, well, we can now talk about, right, the records that we shattered and the viewership and all that. And you know, I think a testament to us being on that stage has been the 35 plus years that, you know, it's taken us. You know, we've had 35 plus years of rehearsal to be able to get on that stage and light it up for the world. You know, that's nothing. You know, the great thing about, you know, our journey is that nothing was ever placed in our lap. So we've actually valued it. We've actually taken care of it. We've groomed it. Um, and you know, when the time came, you know, I'm not gonna say that it was anything easy, you know, to put on a show like this. But
Right.
you know, at some point, you're able to rely on the information that you've acquired along the way from the greats. You know, from Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. You know, the amount of time and information that they poured into me and my brother. You know, really, really, it was what gave us the confidence to get up in this thing, create, put something together impactful. And you know, I think it's great to be able to say we had 35 plus years of rehearsal for
Yeah,
this very moment.
for sure. And with, like you said, 35 years, you made it to the Super Bowl. It is very, very hard to top that, but the journey is not over. So
Far from over.
now that the Super Bowl is finished, get a little, a little break from that. What is next for you both?
You know, I think right now, me and my brother, we are on the inspiration train. We want to take this moment, you know, and really um we want to circulate it, you know. Like my brother said, I mean, at this point there is no record, there is no next project. There is, I mean, that's automatic because that's part of who we are and what we do. Um, but our goal right now and our number one priority is to make sure that our story gets in front of this next generation of creatives, dreamers, forward thinkers, and you know, we don't want to take this time for granted, you know, and how our story is told, um, because it's the feel that a lot of kids are gonna need, you know, to be able to continue thinking outside the box, to be able to have the courage and the strength to commit to what they're passionate about and love. You know, we don't have enough heroes out there that are really coughing up the template, the instructions. And so we're on our Super Bowl run right now. You know, we're like, hey, you know, let's get in front of many folks as we can to
Yeah.
share this experience with, because, you know, I know for Latinos, we don't have enough superheroes, you know, and even when, you know, when we look at our superheroes as kids, all our superheroes were black. Like we loved Malcolm X, we loved Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson, Prince. Those were our superheroes,
Yeah.
you know. So being two Latinos to make it this far, we got to make sure we don't leave any stone unturned
Right.
with the template and how we got here. So we're on the Super Bowl train still.
I love it. I think that's great to continue to, ride this train as long as you can because it's so important. Like representation is incredibly important for everyone. And, we are obviously big supporters and will continue to support the both of you and your journeys. I mean, you all have done incredible things over the years. And so to be able to tell your story and make sure that it is told and, like you said, seen to as many of this new generation as possible. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So that's our
Yeah,
goal. For sure.
definitely.
Yeah,
Well, we love that. And we love the support that you've given us. And we are here. And, whatever we can continue doing in the future, just know you can always call on the Avila Brothers. And we're more than happy to dive in.
absolutely. Again, thank you all so much for, sitting down with us today. We really appreciate it. And again, we will continue to show love and support in any way that we can. And again, I appreciate you both.
We
Oh,
appreciate you
you
too,
too. Thank you,
darling.
darling.